Cool. So today, as you know, we're going through PPC, which is pay per click marketing. So this is a bit different from the original sessions that we usually do on search engine optimization, but all has the same objective of getting people to your website and getting a lead or a conversion in. So I'll just quickly hand over to Chris, and he can go through the schedule today, and then I'll just pick up again quickly at the end to give you a bit of information on the PPC packages if you'd be interested. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Liv. Hi, everybody. So my name's Chris. I am a paid media manager. I've been working in the industry for about 5-6 years now. And I'd like to know, I think I know what I'm talking about, as does Liv, which is always quite nice. So Liv has kindly asked me to come and give a bit of an insight into exactly what we do and how some of it works and how it might benefit you. So I'll dive straight in, if this works. Great. So here's today's schedule. So I'm just going to go through quite a lot of things. Some of it will be really relevant to your business. Some of it might be a little bit less relevant. And some of it will be sort of what might seem very basic and quite I can't think of the word I'm looking for. Quite self-explanatory. A lot of it sometimes is, but I want to go through it all in quite a lot of detail with you. I'll also be explaining some of the benefits to you as well. So some of the stuff that we're going to go through today is keyword research, how intent affects paid media, what volumes might look like, what keyword types there are, what are negative keywords, what structure do we use, how ad copy might be built and how we have to write it all manually, what an account build might look like, what quality score is, how we use locations to benefit you quite drastically, and then what display marketing and shopping marketing is if you're e-commerce or you're looking at doing remarketing, and then just a little bit about bidding strategies and optimization. So what is PPC? So paid ads or PPC are when clients choose to pay to promote their website or content and pay for each click. So you've probably all seen them. They're normally sponsored posts directly up on Google or on social media, or sometimes you'll see display ads on third-party websites or Google partner websites, as we call them now, or you might hear them on audio. So if you don't pay for Spotify Premium or Apple Music Premium, you might hear audio ads as well. And these are all different ventures which we can manage for you. Moving on then, so what are the benefits to business? So paid is really great because it's immediate exposure. So unlike SEO, where we have to wait maybe months for results to start really showing for some of the really key terms that you might want to be looking at, with paid, we look at keywords and we instantly promote them, and they're instantly on Google, and depending on how much we pay for those keywords, will determine how high up in Google you go, along with a number of other things like quality score, which we'll cover later. We can get in front of the right people that are searching for your product or offering. So if you are, for example, you sell bikes, and you want to promote push bikes to clients, then people that are going onto Google are looking for your product. So we want to be in front of those people immediately. So that immediate exposure, they will search for it. They'll hopefully see your ad. They'll click on it, and hopefully they'll buy. We can use paid for brand consideration. So that might be more social media or audio. So if we're looking at doing maybe radio, Spotify, anything like that, then we can really kind of create a nice brand consideration if people have never heard of your brand, but maybe looking for what you're offering. We can be really specific in terms of audiences and locations. So we can target specific age brackets, demographics, gender, interests. We can really get down to the nitty-gritty. So if you know exactly who your target market is, we can really kind of specify that market. So we're only spending money on people that we know are probably going to be interested in it. Alternatively, it's really good that we can do this if you don't know what your target market is, or you think you know what your target market is, and actually there is a new market out there that maybe you haven't considered, and that we can see that information within analytics, and within ads to say that actually these people in this age bracket and gender are actually clicking on your ads but not converting. So maybe we can do something with that, and it creates different exposure for you for your business as well. And locations, again, if you're, if you work as a, I don't know, window fitter, and you've got a 15-mile radius that you can work within, maybe you only want to displaying ads within that 15-mile radius, we can absolutely do that as well, so that you're not traveling 50 miles out of your way for one job. And of course, we can remarket to non-converters. So I think we've all been there, where we've gone onto our website, we haven't purchased or haven't bought, and then several minutes later, we start seeing advertisements for that website on third-party websites or on our Facebook or Instagram accounts for that specific product or a similar product that maybe you haven't bought. So we'll go into that in more detail in a bit as well. So that's some of the basics, and I just want to cover some of the anagrams that you'll probably hear me saying today. So CPC is a cost per click, so that's the amount of money you spend per click. So every time that you create an ad, it goes into what is normally an auction-based system, so where we bid for positions and bid for keywords. So if you were that window fitter and you decided that you wanted to show for I don't know, window fitters or local window fitters, then you would go in against an auction-based system along with a number of other maybe competitors, and then the person who is willing to spend the most amount on that keyword will normally get the higher positions. Although it's not always worked out just based solely on money, Google wants to stay highly relevant, and we'll go through that in more detail again in a bit. Impressions is how many times an ad has been viewed. Click-through rate is the amount of percentage of people that have seen the ad and then have clicked on it. And return on ad spend, which is probably more focused around e-commerce, is your return on ad spend. So ROAS, so if you've spent £1 and you've made 2, your ROAS is 200%. So search keywords. So when we do keyword research, we will look directly at your business, and we'll work with you to understand what kind of keywords that we think we probably want to be bidding for. And then we can look at some other alternatives as well. So what we've done here is I've looked at, let's say, BMW as an example. I do use this example quite a lot throughout this presentation, so I hope you don't mind. Along with keyword research, we also get to find out exactly how many search volume there might be across different locations, and what the kind of cost per click might be depending on what other competitors might be bidding on. Sadly, we can't see the competitors, but we do understand that maybe the top of page rate might be 48p if it's at 2 a.m. on a Saturday. However, it might be £1.92 on a Monday evening at 8 p.m. because that's when people might be most looking at it. And that's obviously for that top keyword there, BMW Finance. Now, this kind of brings quite nicely onto intent within keywords. So what people might be looking for. So high intent keywords might be something like BMW car lease is probably a really good example here, is that they're not looking necessarily for the car manufacturer or the make. They know that they want BMW and they know they want to lease it, therefore it's a higher intent. And what we'll see here is that there's a higher CPC. There's a higher chance of that user converting, because when they've Googled something and they're seeing that advert, it's giving them exactly what they're looking for, and they know what they're looking for. They're further down that sales funnel, and which normally means they're ready to take action. So examples of this might be the BMW's 1 Series price. They might be looking at make, manufacture, car, the engine size. They might be looking at color, or a number of other things. Or they might be looking for a specific location. So, where's my local dealership? So these are really high intent keywords. So moving on from that, then we obviously have low intent keywords. What we'll see here is this, someone such as BMW, and this is the feedback that Google gives us when we're looking at what keywords we might want to start bidding for, is that the keyword BMW is searched for 301,000 times, and it tends to have a much lower CPC because not many people will bid on a competitor anyway. But BMW might want to bid on this because of their brand, but other competitors might not want to because it's very broad. And what we mean by broad is that we don't know what they're looking for. Are they looking for servicing? Are they looking for brochures? Are they looking for specific dealerships? We just don't know. So we have to be quite careful. And the reason we have to be careful is because if there's 301,000 impressions on that or searches, if we had a click-through rate of 5% against that, at an average of £1.50 cost per click. That's quite a lot of clicks that you're getting through to your website, and therefore it's a lot of money that potentially you're not getting a lot of you're not generating any money out of, which is why we have to be quite careful about what kind of strategy that we want to look at when we're looking at paid. So is it that we want to be specifically selling something? Are we looking to generate leads? Are we looking for brand exposure? Are we looking for consideration? What is it that we're actually looking for? So these will have much higher search volumes, but they are going to have lower conversions, and they're more than likely going to be doing some sort of research, or they're looking for an alternative to the product. So they might be looking for servicing, not necessarily to buy a BMW, but they might be looking to, hire one, or they might be looking to service it, etc. Other examples of really broad keywords are stuff like new cars, or maybe they're looking for the difference between BMW and Mercedes. So that's low intent. So how do we kind of combat this to know exactly what people are looking for? Because we want to be showing for, I don't know, BMW 1 Series in blue, but we don't want to have to go through every single color. We don't want to be typing in BMW 1 Series orange, BMW 1 Series purple for when people are looking for a BMW 1 Series. We want to cover all bases. So this is where match types come in. So when we're building out a campaign with the keywords, there's 4 different uses of the keywords. So we have broad match, which is there's no change. It includes all misspelling, synonyms, and any related searches. So an example here that I've put is that the keyword might be women's hats. The return on that, someone could search ladies' hats and still see your ad, even if the keyword is women's hats. They could see ladies' cycling helmets as also another example of that because it's related. Then we move on to broad modified. So a plus in front of each word means it must include those words, but in any order. So it doesn't have to be in that order. So the keyword plus women's plus hats can return women's hats, red hats for women, baseball hats for women, etc. Then we have exact. Exact is exactly what it says on the tin. It has to be those words, and it has to be in that order. There is no phrase match or anything related to that. It has to be that specific keyword. We normally see a much lesser search volume for that. So if BMW put BMW as an exact match, we wouldn't see any alternatives, any models, any services, any other type of word beyond BMW. And then we have phrase match, which is a very close to the broad modified, but it can be in an exact order. So it has to be best women's hats for sale, women's hats in blue, etc. So it can't be hats for women. It has to be women's hats. So that's how we can kind of control which keywords we want to be seen in front of. So not everything necessarily has to be on broad modified, but we do tend to use broad modified and exact as sorry, I'm just going to allow a few more people in. I've just seen that there's a few people waiting. So the broad modified and exact are the keywords that we tend to use, just because we can control it. We're not limiting what kind of keywords we might be shown for, and we're also not limiting sort of color or size, or again, if you're a window fitter and you want to fit all 3x4 windows or 2x8 windows or whatever it might be, people can search whatever variant they want and still be shown for that keyword. So moving on from that is negative keywords. So what are negative keywords? Well, we may want to not be shown for certain keywords. So examples of this is you're selling tins of paint in any color imaginable. You want all the search terms related to color without having to list every single color under the sun as a keyword. However, you don't want people searching for Dulux or Velspar paint seeing your adverts. So you might not want to see people searching Dulux color match or Dulux paint in blue, but you do want to be shown for paint in blue. So we can use Dulux as a negative keyword to stop people searching for those specific terms seeing your adverts, because what we do tend to see is that when people search for competitor brands and then end up clicking on your advert, they tend to bounce off the website very quickly because they realize that they've clicked on that by mistake because they actually were looking for Dulux. We also might want to stop people looking for irrelevant products. So if you sell external bifold doors and using broad modifiers, so anyone searching for any size sees your ad. So it's very similar to the color problem, that actually I want people looking for 3-meter bifold doors or 4-meter or 4 sliding bifold doors. We want all of those people to see our advert, but we don't sell interior bifold doors. So therefore we probably use the word interior as a negative keyword to stop people seeing that advert, because we're only looking for external. Moving on then, so structure. So keywords dictate pretty much everything that we do, because we have to make sure that all ads are relevant to all searches. So an example of this and what a campaign structure might look like is the campaign, then the ad group, then the ad copy, then the landing pages. So what we've got is, if we had the word BMW 1 Series M Sport, the campaign might be BMW 1 Series. The ad group might be M Sport models. The keyword within that might be BMW 1 Series M Sport. Another ad group within that same campaign might be BMW 1 Series generic, and that is just someone who's searching BMW 1 Series. So what we can do then is really make the ad copy relevant to what the person has searched in the keyword. So the example that I've put down here below is BMW 1 Series M Sport. The ad that I see on Google is BMW 1 Series M Sport. It contains the keyword I've searched for, and that has been specifically created so that the ad copy matches the search. So here's what an example account build might look like based on that, all of that information. So we can see here that the top list might be the keywords of electric can opener, tin opener, electric tin opener. We want those to go to pretty much the exact same landing page, because it's the same thing but just called something different. The campaign would be easy can opener. The ad group then splits into can opener and tin opener, and then the ad copy adjusts based on what that person is searching for. So the first 4 lines that you see there, easy can electric can opener, easy to use can opener, I've basically duplicated that and used the word tin opener instead of can opener. That is to make sure that the ad copy matches the keyword, and we've done that all the way through. So here's what an ad copy might look like. So here's an example one that I built a few days ago. So we have to manually create all ads. So we have to type them all out manually. So we have to absolutely understand your business, and we have to understand what kind of keywords we might be looking for. So all headlines are a 30-character limit. So what we would normally do is contain the keyword in the first instance. So the headline 1 would be the keyword. Headline 2 might be some sort of trust. And then headline 3 might be a call to action. So what is it? How do I know? Why would I want to click on your advert? And I can get in touch today, or I can order it today, or you're doing free next day delivery, or you're doing free orders over, orders over £50 get a free gift, or whatever it might be. Display paths, they have to, descriptions. So they're a little bit longer. So they're a 90-character limit, and we can have 2 of them. That's just explaining a bit more about your business. So where are you? Why would you click on it? Maybe a bit more about the product that they've searched for, etc. Display paths, a little bit less relevant, but they can be there. So we use the website as the initial display path, and then path 1, path 2 might be /BMW. So it might be bmw.co.uk/1 series /M Sport. And then that will allow the structure of what would look like after it says add on that example, it would normally have /something /something. So that means that they know that they're getting directed to the correct part of the website. And then the final URL, there's no characters, and that's just the landing page we're sending them through to. So headlines and descriptions should be relevant to keywords. We recommend 1 responsive search ad and 2 text ads. So a responsive search ad is basically allowing Google to choose between up to 15 different headlines based on what that user's looked for, and it will rotate them depending on the best performance. So here's what it might look like again. So we've got headline 1, headline 2, description 1, description 2, and site link extensions. You can see here that they've chosen not to use a headline 3. That might not mean that there isn't one. It might just mean that Google is not showing it at this time, depending on what device you're looking at, what you've searched for, and whether or not it's relevant. It's the same thing for descriptions. It doesn't always show. And then site linking extensions. So this is, I'll touch on this really quickly. If you are running a brand-based campaign, if you've already got quite a strong brand, you may want people that are looking for different areas of your website that have just searched BMW to go to be able to find the right place within your website very, very quickly, thus creating a better user experience, rather than having to go to the website and then direct themselves around it if they've landed on the homepage. So quality score, I've mentioned this quite a few times now. So what is quality score? So quality score is the measurement Google use to ensure people continue to use their platform. They don't want poor ad copy to poor landing pages on really, really broad keywords. They want people to keep using their platform, and to keep people using their platform, every search result has to return a relevant result to what the keywords or what they've actually searched in Google is. So there's quite a heavy punishment if we don't do this. As you can see here, if you rank a 1 out of 10 quality score, you have to pay 400% of the recommended cost per click, which doesn't indicate anything of the auction that you pay. So if the cost per click is £1 for you, that's what you're willing to pay, but you have a competitor at 2, they will only ever pay a maximum of £1.10. They don't immediately pay the 2. But if you've got a quality score of 1, your £4 doesn't immediately beat their £2 bid. You still based on a £1, but you will pay £4 for every click that you get. However, to reward you for relevant ad copy, for relevant landing page material, they will discount the cost per click by up to 50% on the same premises. So if you are that competitor that's paying 2 and your competitors are only spending 1, you will actually only spend 1 or 50p, whereas they may have to spend £1 because their cost per click is at the 5. Their quality score is at the 5, sorry. So a really bad example of this that I put here is if someone searched holidays to Mexico, and then the ad copy said something about gym memberships, and then they still clicked on it. I know I wouldn't, but if somebody did, and then the landing page was all about flowers, that's probably not even going to get ranked on number 1 on the first page of Google, obviously. But if anybody did find themselves on page 3, and they clicked, you would more than likely be paying the 400% increase. So moving on from that, then we can be really, really specific in location-based stuff. So this might be really relevant for quite a lot of people, because you may only work within a certain area, or maybe you've got a static location and you only want to attract people within certain towns or cities. These are really, really relevant when people are looking on Google. Now, a lot of people will put dealerships near me, or window fitters or contractors near me. But what you can do, rather than just using near me, is put specific locations in. So the example that I've used here is Bristol car dealerships. And again, what we'll see here is used car dealerships in Bristol. So that's perfect for me. The likelihood of me clicking on that advert is much higher because it's exactly what I'm looking for. And what that does mean then is that we can really look at kind of narrowing down on your audience size and saying, well, we specifically want to target the people that are interested in my product within this area of a population size of X. And what Google will do is give us a good search for it. If it's a large enough area, we can't do it for like villages or towns really, but if it's a large enough area, we can actually tell you what the average search volume might be in those areas. And therefore you might be able to be a lot more competitive within that location, because you're able to increase your budget within that location, because you're not sending the information, you're not advertising to the whole of the country. However, that does kind of flip it around on its head a little bit. So if you have a population size of 10,000 people and a cost per click of only 15p, but you want to spend £1,000 in ad spend, that might be really, really difficult to do, because you don't have the population size there on a very niche product to be able to get everybody in that area we can't force them to search Google on your product, and we can't make the cost per click higher. Sometimes that's really, really good, but we have to make sure that expectation is always set if you do look at narrowing down your really, really niche markets into really specific areas. So though locations can be really, really good, they can also have a negative effect in terms of the exposure that your brand may require if we're looking at spending the money on ads at all. So that leads nicely on to display marketing. So there's two different elements of display marketing. There's audience remarketing, and then there's in-market audiences. So I think everybody could probably relate to me here, where if you've been on a website again and you've looked at a product but you haven't probably bought it, the likelihood of you seeing an advert remarketing that product or a similar product to you is very, very high. We can really kind of the way it works is that we can look at your website and analytics and create specific in-market audiences and say, right, well, if someone's hit my website and they've put an item in the basket, but they haven't done a checkout, then we can really specifically target those only those 1% of my users that have abandoned their baskets. Or maybe I'm looking at non-converters, or maybe they downloaded my brochure, but they never actually got back in touch with me after 2 weeks. So there's quite a broad thing that we can do here, and we can be really specific about what type of pages they've hit. So if you were, I don't know, I'm going to use the example of BMW again, just because it's easy. If you had someone that looked at one series page but no other page, you could target them with just one series adverts. If they hit the 3 series page but no other no other model, then you could target them with 3 series banners. But if they'd been on maybe the 1 series, the 3 series, the 8 series, they didn't know which car they were looking for, you could maybe target them with a why don't you come and talk to us advert, or why don't you come and download a few brochures, to see whether or not you can kind of entice them further down that channel. Then you have in-market audiences. So in-market audiences work fairly similar, but they're not for your specific website. So they may have looked at a specific product, or they're doing research on another product or make. So an example that I would use here is probably that, let's say that you are Mercedes, but as a user, I've been on BMW's website, but I've never been on Mercedes' website. Mercedes might look at, say, right, I want to target people that are specifically interested in cars but don't already know about my brand or haven't been on my website. What will then happen is that Google will look at cookie information and say, well, we want going to target all the people that have been looking at cars that haven't been on this website. And you'll start seeing banners and images. So you might look at Nike's website and start seeing adverts for Adidas, as an example. You can also reach an audience which fits a specific set of attributes. So if you wanted to attract, the example I've used here is new male customers that have an interest in golf who are over 45 because you sell yachts. So I sell yachts, and I know that I want to target these specific people because I know that that's the people that buy my yachts, example. Alternatively, you could target absolutely everybody. There's no limit on who you could target. Just, I want everybody to see my brand. I've got limitless money, and everybody needs to think about my brand because I've got such a great product. So just something to throw out there. Here's some examples. So you'll normally see these in all different shapes and sizes. Some of them will be animated, some of them won't be. Google's really restrictive on what size they can be. So these have obviously been quite largely inflated for your benefit, but keep an eye out on these. Give you a good example of what kind of things that people are targeting you with, or what they think you might be interested in, depending on your demographic. Shopping, for any of the e-commerce out there, shopping is becoming massive, especially if, obviously, the holidays, with Christmas literally just around the corner. There are so many people now using Google Shopping. In the US, this is taken from the US statistics website from 2019, is that ad spend on e-commerce websites went up to 76.4% against text ads. And the amount of clicks is absolutely huge for shopping because it's so much more visual. We don't actually use keywords to target shopping, which is really nice. It's all done based on product description. So if you've got really good product descriptions, then it will likely show you more results, which is quite nice. And to access this, but depending on what website you run, we would either need a manual feed of all the products that you have, which is a bit of a headache, or we can implement a Google Shopping's API tool from their merchant store. And then that basically just sits in the background, and when you've got a shoe or a bike that goes out of stock, it will update it so it doesn't appear on Shopping. If you've only got specific sizes, it will only show for specific sizes. If you have a sale, it will update the price, etc., based on what your website says, which is quite nice. So something to really consider if you're an e-commerce brand. This is absolutely fantastic. It's definitely the future, and it's a huge competitor to Amazon at the moment. So I've already explained the API and the manual feed. I won't bore you with that anymore. So something else we want to talk about is bidding strategies. So I'll cover this really quickly. So there's two different, and this is probably the best way of doing this is to talk about the automated versus manual. There is automated bidding strategies such as maximize conversions or maximize return on ad spend if you're ecom. There are huge pros behind doing automated strategies. It's that the Google has so much information on its users that it knows pretty much when they're going to convert based on how much research they've done, how many times they've visited websites, how long they've been on those websites, how many pages they visited, and they will best guess put your ad in front of that person when they think they're going to buy it, or when they think they're going to click on your advert. Now, this is great because it means that we can sort of completely have free reign and just say, right, Google, you know best. Let's just do it your way. However, it doesn't always mean you're going to show at the top of Google. So if you end up Googling yourself after starting ads and you don't show, it's likely it's because you've not really been looking at many websites that actually sell your product. Or it might just be that it knows that you're not going to click on it, therefore it's not going to display it to limit how much you wasted spend you're having, because it only really wants to show to the people that are probably going to buy. The cons of this, of automated bidding strategy, is that it normally inflates the CPCs. If there's no one there to tell them how much a cost per click should be for every keyword, who is it bidding against? If you've got two people that are bidding on an automated bidding strategy, it's up to Google, who want to make money, to decide how much a cost per click should be. And it doesn't always stick to your cost per acquisition if that's a bidding strategy you want to use. So we can do it manually. Now, manually there's a lot more control, because we get to decide how much we're going to pay per click for each keyword. There's no changes without consent. We make all the changes manually, so we know exactly how much you're going to be spending. However, we don't have all that information that Google does, where we know exactly when the best time to display an ad is, if it's at Monday between the hours of 8 p.m. and 9 p.m, because that's when people are looking most. We don't have that information, so it takes time to build that information. This is quite a time-consuming thing to do, but it does mean that the results over time would be better and hopefully cheaper, because as we get more and more data, we understand more and more about where and when to display these ads. And it is quite slower than automation, especially if you have thousands of keywords. So if you are lucky enough to have a business that only has maybe 50 to 100 keywords, that's not too time consuming. But if you are a business that has, I don't know, a variation of products, e-commerce is probably the best example. If you have lots of different products and lots of different sizes, you have lots of different keywords, then that's obviously a lot more time consuming than it would be if you only had 50 to 100. So what kind of optimization can we do? So I talk a lot about being able to know when the right time, the right place, and what ages and stuff we want to be bidding in front of. So here's just some examples of how we can control these elements. So what we can see here is that there's schedule. So we get to choose the time of day and the day of the week. We know when our ads best convert. Therefore, we want to pay more to be in front of these people based on all the historical data. We may look at demographics. So we know exactly how old and what gender these people are that are buying. Therefore, we want to be displayed in front of these people specifically. We also understand device. And we can also understand location. So for every location that we put in, we can absolutely understand exactly where these people are clicking, and we can inflate costs based on that. That doesn't mean that when we create a nationwide campaign for you that we put in every postcode and every city into Google Ads, but there is information within analytics that means that we can break it down. If you specifically wanted to push it within a certain area, or if you are holding an event somewhere, then we can specifically target that location and say, I want to be head and shoulders above any competitor in that location for that time period, i.e., I don't know, let's say it was Bristol for Christmas, because you're selling a specific product, and you had excess stock in that one branch, as an example. So that kind of leads on to this. So Liv, I'll let you kind of come back in now, if that's okay, and maybe you can go through this and then we'll answer any questions.
Sure, thanks, Chris. This is just a slide showing you guys the PPC packages. So if anyone's interested and you want to have a look at a package, essentially the way the packages are built out for pay per click is there's the basic, business, enterprise and enterprise plus. And the key difference between these is the PPC budget. So what the PPC budget is actual AdWords budget. So the money you essentially put to your advertising for Google, and then the package cost is the nettle management costs. So for example, if you wanted to spend £5,000 on pay per click, that would cost £550 a month management, but you'd obviously get a lot more leads based on that budget because you'd have more to spend. But if you had a smaller budget, which was £500, for example, then that would be a basic package at a cost of £250 a month. You can find more information on this on the nettle.com website, and we've got the URL there, but I can send it in here as well shortly. But that's pretty much everything on the packages. Any questions, feel free to come off mute or put it in the chat. I think we've got one question here. I don't know if you can see the questions, Chris, or I'll just go through it if you like.
You can't
see them? No, okay, I'll read the question out. So a client of ours is finding a competitor is putting our client's name in its AdWords. When I contacted the competitor, they said that they have some coding in their AdWords campaigns that mirrors the search terms someone uses. The client is Carlisle Blinds in Great Grapham. I can't even say that. If you search that in AdWords, an ad comes up for 5-day blinds, and it includes the Carlisle blinds in the title tag. Is the competitor allowed to do this, and can we stop it? So can we stop competitor bidding, essentially?
Yes and no. You could put in a copyright thing to Google to say that there is certain trademark restrictions on ads, but there is an automated coding in the ads that you can use as well that mirrors the exact search term. It doesn't always work out the best. So if someone searched, I don't know, blinds near me would come up on their ad copy and it wouldn't look the greatest. So there's reason why sometimes we wouldn't use that. In order to get back about the competitor bidding, you can't stop people bidding on, because otherwise Amazon wouldn't advertise on absolutely anything, because people then advertise within Amazon, and obviously people want to go to Amazon. But Amazon themselves could go to Google and say, I don't want people bidding on my brand or my trademark within Google. So there is information there that I can probably get over to Liv to send to Chris, or I can send it to Chris, who will then be able to potentially share that information. I need to dig it out, but yes, you can put in a word to Google. Although I don't know whether or not you'd be able to completely stop it. It would be up to Google's discretion, really.
Thanks, Chris. There was another question around the minimum time for a PPC package. So that is a 3-month subscription. But if you do start doing, say you started on one of the lower packages and you had a certain budget per month, and then you decided you actually wanted to spend more per month because you were seeing a lot of success from pay per click, then it would be fine to go up to the next package if you wanted to within that 3 months. We can get that changed for you. So a lot of customers obviously like to use PPC, just to reiterate, because you can see quicker results than search engine optimization sometimes. It might not be a long-term strategy for everyone, because ultimately you do have to pay the PPC budget as well as obviously the management cost, but you are more likely to see sort of instant results because you don't have to spend a lot of time optimizing the website over months in order to outrank competitors organically. So there are benefits of both strategies. It's essentially working out what's right for your business, and you might want to test both, or maybe you've already tried SEO and you want to look into PPC and then see what's the best for you. But ultimately there's value in both. How long do you suggest a PPC campaign to be active? However long you like, really. So I think if you're going to spend the time setting it up, I would say at least a few months so that you can see the benefits. It isn't like SEO, where we would definitely suggest like 6 months for SEO to see results, and to see good results anyway. But I think with PPC, you could pretty much see the results after a month of it being live. Would you agree, Chris? It's quite
yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that we definitely have to consider when you're looking at paid is it absolutely worth it? And what we don't want to do is to make it sound like paid will get you instant great results. It will get you instant results, but we may need to tweak certain things. So there may be keywords that aren't worth bidding on that maybe we initially thought were, because they are a waste of money and everybody who searches that term isn't buying from you. But other terms might be more progressive than that. It may mean that we need to figure out a different type of ad copy, or maybe we need to duplicate a specific landing page of your website that they land on, that is all about that specific product. So the more we use paid, the more we understand the user journey, and we can recommend improvements on how better to convert users, because paid for us is not necessarily all about just sending you bucket loads of traffic. It's about making sure that traffic is profitable, because you are paying a cost per click, as Liv said.
Thank you. I think that's everything. We've got some nice feedback on the presentation, Chris. Comprehensive and authoritative.
Thank you, everybody.
That's good. Cool. Yeah. In the packages, as Chris was saying, obviously, as you need to do optimization each month, it's not just the setup and then you leave it there. Each of these packages have a different level of optimization in. So if you were spending £5,000 a month, your account would need a lot more optimization than one that's spending £500 a month naturally, to ensure you've obviously got the quality score and that you're targeting the right keywords in the right areas. Great. So customer pays £500 for basic package and 200 miles a month for Nettle. So no, so the customer pays, the package cost is £250 for basic or £300 for business, and then the PPC budget is the ad spend, so the spend that the customer spends on Google. So the customer should pay that directly from their Google ad account, and then the cost of the management is the package cost. That's Nettle's management cost.
Yeah, so essentially you'll get two separate invoices, right, Liv? You'll get one from Google, who the client will pay directly to, and then one from Nettle for managing it.
I hope that makes sense. But if you do have any questions, please get in touch and we can get some more information for you. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks everybody. Take care.
Bye.